see her walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a superstar. She looks so fly in those Gucci slides. Yeah, yeah.
Hey Royale Squad, before we start, I just want to say I know this isn't my usual content, but I'm trying to make more scripted style videos in the vein of Danny Gonzalez and other commentary YouTubers. Yeah, Danny's like the only ones I know. Yeah, I'm a Danny Gonzalez fan. I'm a Greg and proud. I still want to focus on more commentary style videos, and no, before you ask, I'm not quitting Royal High. I'll still make posts on like the updates and stuff, but I just wanted to clear that up. Anyway, I should probably start the intro now. So, the Who Was show. Half of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you grew up reading Who Was books, then you probably have at least heard of or maybe even watched this show. If you still have no idea what I'm talking about, then I'll give you guys a little bit of a quick synopsis really quickly. The formula for the show is basically this guy Ron creates a show. Yes, it's one of those show within a show type shows. My gosh, it's too many shows. Basically, there were 6 teens that play different historical figures. 2 historical figures per episode, except for the Wright Brothers episode, but I'll get into that later. So basically, the show is pretty much the exact same every episode, but with different historical figures. There's an animated segment, since, it's a kid's show, and there's usually funny skits containing these historical figures. But I think that's enough of an explanation, and let's just jump into the episode. Oh, this is gonna take a while. Oh well, I basically signed myself up for this since no one else would make a video about this. Let's just start the video. So, this episode is about the historical figures Mahatma Gandhi and Benjamin Franklin, and explains their lives a little bit. If you don't know who either of them are, the school system failed you. Gandhi was an Indian civil rights activist, and Benjamin Franklin was a founding father. But I bet you wouldn't know that because he wasn't in it. Gandhi is played by one of the girls in the group, but she's just wearing a bald cap, and Benjamin Franklin's played by one of the boys. Although, I think his skits are funnier because Gandhi's is mainly just a vegetable song, and I mean, it's a bop, but I don't really vibe with it. Benjamin Franklin's skits, they're amazing. They're really something. I need to tell you about this. So the skit basically starts with Benjamin Franklin talking to his students. I didn't know he was a teacher. Oh well, probably because he wasn't in hit. So the story is that he's just like teaching one day and then he farts in front of all of his students and they start like bullying him and shout, "Ben Franklin farted," until he starts like sobbing on the ground. If only I could find the video, but I can't. It's just nowhere to be found. And then, oh my god, this other skit, oh my gosh. I wish I could find the video, but I can't. But it's beautiful. So basically, he's like, I'm gonna discover electricity. So he goes outside with his key and his kite, and he's like shirtless, and like his hair is blowing in the wind and stuff. It's just, I don't know how to feel. If only this show came out in the good old year of TikTok editors, this guy would have been the next Hershey Park guy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you never will. Also, this side plot where, like, Ron wants to feature, like, Bruce Lee on the show. Foreshadowing. So, this episode is about Joan of Arc and everybody's favorite Christmas character, Uncle Albert. Yes, that's a Danny Gonzalez reference. As you can tell, I'm very much not okay. This episode follows the same old formula, 2 kids dressed up as the historical figures and skits throughout. One of my favorite skits in this episode is when the Archangel showed up and tells Joan she has to fight for France or something, and she immediately films a YouTube tutorial about, like, disguising as a man to fight in the war. I love when kids shows try to be cool and trendy, but ultimately fail at it at the end. Anyway, there was nothing, like, that was really notable about this episode. I should also mention this show has musical numbers, too. I have a really funny joke I want to make for episode 9. This episode is about William Shakespeare and King Tut, 2 very different guys from 2 very different time periods. The skits in this episode were mainly people reviewing Shakespeare's plays, kind of like screening interviews or something, and TED Talks, which, yes, are TED Talk parodies. If you don't know what that is, go back to watching Skippity Toilet, I'm sorry. There's also like a skit that's like a parody of like HGTV shows where it's basically like King Tut's like dream tomb, and at the end they just tell him he's gonna die. But I think that just covers this like episode. There was nothing else that I really wanted to say for this one. episode is about Isaac Newton and Amelia Earhart. I feel like you guys should know who both of them are, but basically Newton discovered gravity and Amelia Earhart was the first female pilot. Skits in this episode weren't really that notable, but there is this one that I genuinely laughed when I rewatched it. So basically it's about how Newton discovered gravity, and then at the end a piano just drops on his head and it just ends. Yeah, this episode is about Louis Armstrong and Marie Antoinette. Again, two very different people from two very different times. There's a skit where Louis Armstrong scat. Is scats a word? Man, I don't know. His way out of a fight with his wife. And it's kind of funny. I need to mention the most important, annoying part of the show, which is Sir Tidbits. And you can tell by this picture he's not allowed in your schools for very obvious reasons. This guy is just weird, man. Should I even say guy? I don't even know what this qualifies as. There's also a Keeping Up with the Kardashians parody called Keeping Up with the Antoinettes, and Marie's just a brat the whole time. And this reminded me, hey, I recognize this girl. So I went to Google the cast, clicked on her, and you'll never guess what she was. She was Little Red Riding Hood in Into the Woods. I knew I recognized her from somewhere. So this episode is about Sacagawea and Blackbeard, and some of the skits in this episode are, well, this guy Rob tries to give Blackbeard a job, then he just throws him off the boat, and he lands, right outside of Sacagawea's teepee, and I just gotta say, the green screen in this scene is just beautiful. Marvel could never. When she's actually on the expedition, she vlogs it, and they're actually becoming self-aware. She literally says, people always ask where I got a phone from. That's none of your business. Okay, Netflix, I see you. At least they're trying. Her actual baby's in the episode, the one that she carried on her back in real life, and his whole purpose for being there was just, look, tiny thing with a big booming man voice equal funny. Kids will love this. So this episode is about Frida Kahlo and Susan B. Anthony. Frida Kahlo is a famous painter, and Susan B. Anthony is the reason I'll be able to vote in a few years. So remember the Bruce Lee part line? Yeah, it doesn't really happen until later on in the show, but he's at the beginning. Also, should I mention Susan B. Anthony is played by the same girl as Marie Antoinette? It's canon. Little Red Riding Hood is the reason I can vote. There aren't really that many skits in this episode, but there's a skit where Frida Kahlo rides her hospital bed on a roller coaster. All I can say is Hershey Park could never. This episode is about Harry Houdini and Marie Curie. The skits in this episode are some goofy, Fast and Furious parodies, which are something. There's also a skit where Houdini, no, not the Dua Lipa song. There's a magic trick and it's too bunked by. Did I just say too bunked? What the heck is wrong with me? What I meant to say was debunked by two of the other teens. And this guy shows up. His name's the Explanationator. I've never seen this character before. I feel like I forgot him in episode 3 or something. Whatever. And he teaches the 17-year-olds basic elements. Why are they asking about stuff I learned in 7th grade? Because I never told you guys about the joke wall. Well, what do you think? So Harry pops out of his little picture and he's like, Marie, I made an element to the element of surprise. Then the explanation here, this nerd is actually, the element of surprise is actually an element. I'm sick of this. I just want to get to episode 9. I want to make that joke so bad.
Alexander Hamilton.
This episode is about, you guessed it, the pride of Mount Vernon himself, George Washington. Oh, and Marco Polo. Yeah, I don't really care. Right on that joke later, but I just gotta tell you, Hamilton could never. Okay, yeah, I've used up all my blank could never jokes. I'm sorry, I'm done. There's a skit where Marco Polo's dad comes back with the milk. Okay, look at you unsubscribing from Dream. There's an Undercover Boss parody where George Washington goes undercover, and guys, there's a Martha Washington mention. Yes, the one who named her feral tomcat after Hamilton. There's another Georgie skit. Yes, I'm calling him Georgie. Shut up. Where they go and steal presents from these German children on Christmas. I like to imagine the men accompanying him are Hamilton Lawrence. Come on, guys, you know you want it to be canon. It's canon. Okay, now I can talk about that joke I wanted to make. It's a song where these people ask George Washington really weird questions. I hope I can play it. I might just have to distort the audio a little bit, but guys, this is better than half of Hamilton. Really, honestly. This is a joke. Please don't come for me.
Everybody take a deep breath and relax. All this guessing and stress is not addressing the facts. We created a government, that's a whole new thing. But I was elected president, not crown king.
Such a banger. This is playing at every theater kid party now. Okay, let's go. Episode 10 is about Genghis Khan and George Washington Carver, the guy who did Peanuts, and Genghis Khan was a murderous dude. Substitute teacher shows these children a really bad cartoon about Genghis Khan. They start crying. Ron has an allergic reaction, and so Zach, the king he is, decides to save Ron with an EpiPen. Okay, episode 11. Pablo Picasso and the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers made the first airplane. Pablo Picasso is a painter. Weird perfume ad parody. More YouTube stuff. Yeah. Episode 12 is about Queen Elizabeth. Anne Boleyn mention. Galileo was also in this episode. Shark Tank parody with Mark Cuban in it. Yes, I have no idea how they got him still. I'm still shocked to my core about how they got the Mark Cuban himself to be in this episode. Queen Elizabeth became queen. She does a little epic rap. Better than most of Six the Musical. I'm sorry I had to say it. This is a joke. Please don't come for me. Please don't chop my head off. I don't want to lose my head. That was a Six reference. Where am I going with this? Episode. Let me see what else. I gotta check my notes. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Okay. This is the finale. So, this episode starts it with Julius Caesar breaking into who was headquarters and basically, telling every other, celebrity, not celebrity, yeah, they're technically celebrities, historical figures, celebrity, yada yada yada, whatever you want to call it. He, storms in and kicks all them out. Ron confronts him, and then he just, crushes this, dude with a rock. And then he gets in a fight with Ron. The teens get, all scared and run out of the studio. And they're all just in the hallway. And then it turns out the guy that was crushed is Bruce Lee, and he's actually alive. So this episode's about Julius Caesar and Bruce Lee. And so, weird stuff happens. Julius Caesar does this little skit called Widow Julie, where this, 17-year-old, Adam is his name. Yeah, that fits. Yeah, his name is actually Adam. He looks like an Adam. Oh my gosh. He's playing this 1-year-old because his name is Widow Julie, and he poops himself and he cries. And it reminded me of Fred, and it's really annoying. Do you guys know Fred? I shouldn't know Fred, but I know Fred. I haven't been around for that long. Anyway, so John Oliver shows up. Now I know where the budget went on this show. And Bruce Lee teaches us about martial arts visual effects. Then Leela, my bad. Yes, Little Red Riding Hood is oh, the Who is cast is gonna revolt against you. And then he's this reminds me of the Ides of March. Which, first of all, are these celebrities just all, ghosts or something? Because they mentioned that he died. Are these, ghosts? Anyway, Sir Tidbits, the kid who is, not the kid, the guy who isn't allowed near schools comes back. And, uses the aqueducts in, Italy as, tidal force or something. That was a Hershey Park reference. If you know, you know. And so then the cast revolts. There's a big fight with Ron standing in the middle, and it poses the question, who will eat the grapes? And it's a cliffhanger. Oh, wow, that was great. Guess we'll find out in season 2. Ah, no.
So,
No, I'm saying
what now?
It's not specific.
The show was ultimately not renewed for a second season, and I would always count each year that went by waiting for season 2. But sadly, it never happened, as it was cancelled after only one season. This was later confirmed by Zach. Yes, Zach, who saved Ron's life. One of the teens on the show, on his TikTok video. He also has a YouTube channel in which he responded to a comment stating that he hadn't heard anything from Netflix as of 2019. And so, a common theory is that the show isn't worth funding for a second season since low viewership, with the hours in total only being 40 million hours. Nobody really knows why the show was cancelled, but there is a petition up on a website to get Netflix to make a season 2, which I'll link in the description in case you want to go sign it. So, yeah, the show ended without a satisfying conclusion, especially since they obviously thought they were going to get renewed for a second season. So, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. If you want to see more, silly goofy stuff that I talk about, then you should subscribe. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and it would really help if just one of you sub. But that's all for today's video. I'll see you in the next one, and bye, Royal Squad!